It's time for spelling analysis. Are you ready? The first word is attend. I will attend the class. Attend. Go ahead and say attend. How many syllables in attend? 2. We will say to spell at tend. What will we say to spell? At tend. Let's sound it out. The first syllable is at. At. The second syllable is tend. T-e-n-d. Go ahead and write at tend. Sound it out as you write it. Excellent, and help me write it. The first syllable is at. At. The second syllable is tend. T-e-n-d. And how do we mark it? There's nothing to mark. Let's read it. At, t-e-n-d. Attend. Now, why did the a sound like an That's right. Any vowel may sound like or I in an unstressed syllable. And there it's unstressed. And so we say attend. The next word is get. Did you get the answer right? Get. Go ahead and say get. And let's sound it out. G-e-t. Go ahead and write get. And help me to write it. G-e-t. And let's read it. G-e-t. Get. Now, remember, G may soften to J before an E, I, or Y. Does it always? No. And it didn't soften in the word get. The next word is own. Do you own a car? Own. Go ahead and say own. Let's sound it out. Own. O, use an ow, o, n. Go ahead and write own. And help me to write it. O, n. How do we mark it? We'll underline the O. What sound of ow, o do we hear? That's right, the second. Let's read it. O, n, own. The next word is see. Do you see me? See. Go ahead and say see. Let's sound it out. S. Use a s, e. Use an e double e. See. And help me to write it. S, e. How do we mark it? We'll underline the e. Let's read it. S, e, see. The next word is pour. Could you pour the water? Pour. Go ahead and say pour. Let's sound it out. P, o. Use an ow, o, u, er. Go ahead and write pour. Good. And help me to write it. P, o, er. And how will we mark it? We'll underline the O. What sound of ow, o, u, do we hear? That's right, the second, pour. Let's read it. P, o, pour. The next word is card. I will send her a birthday card. Go ahead and say card. Let's sound it out. K. Use a k, s, r, d. Go ahead and write card. Great, and help me to write it. K, r, d. And how do we mark it? We'll underline the R. Let's read it. K, r, d, card. The next word is lesson. We will have a lesson about that. Lesson. Go ahead and say lesson. How many syllables in lesson? 2. We will say to spell less, son. What will we say to spell? Less, son. Let's sound it out. The first syllable is less. L-e-s. The second syllable is son. S-a-n. Go ahead and write less, son. Good, and then help me to write it. The first syllable is less. L-e-s. The second syllable is son. S-a-n. Let's read it. L-e-s-a-n. Lesson. And again, any vowel may sound like or I in an unstressed syllable. The next word is wonderful. That is a wonderful idea. Wonderful. Go ahead and say wonderful. How many syllables? 3. We will say to spell, wait a minute, do you hear an sound next to a W, T, H, M, N, or V? I do too. How do you think we'll say to spell this? You're right. We'll say to spell wonderful. Excellent. Help me to say that together with me again. Wonderful. Let's sound it out. One, n. The second syllable is der, the R of her. The third syllable is full, ul. Go ahead and write wonderful. Sounding it out as you write it. Excellent. Help me to write it. The first syllable is one, n. The second syllable is der, the third syllable is full, ul. How do we mark it? We'll underline the What sound of u, do we hear in wonderful? That's right, the broad sound. And notice, there it is again. It's that broad sound when the U is before an L. So that L can often trigger a broad sound in English. Let's read it. Wonderful. The next word is new. I think I'll buy a new chair. New. Go ahead and say new. Let's sound it out. N-oo. Use an oo-u. All right, go ahead and write new. And help me to write it. N-oo. And how do we mark it? We'll underline the oo. What sound do oo-u do here in new? Oo-u. That's right, the first sound. Let's read it. N-oo, new. The next word is beautiful. The flowers are beautiful. Go ahead and say beautiful. How many syllables in beautiful? That's right, 4. We will say to spell B-U-T-ful. What will we say to spell? B-U-T-ful. Let's sound it out together. The first syllable is B, B-E. Use an E at A. The second syllable is U, U. The third syllable is T, T-I. Use an I-I-E-ya. The fourth syllable is full, F-U-L. Go ahead and write B-U-T-ful. Sound it out as you write it. That is the key to writing these bigger words correctly. Beautiful. Great. Now help me to write it. The first syllable is B, B-E. The second syllable is U, U. The third syllable is T, T-I. The fourth syllable is full, F-U-L. And how will we mark it? We'll underline the E, put a line over the U. Why did the U say its long sound? A-E-O-U usually say their long sounds at the end of the syllable. But why did the I say I? You're right. I and Y may say I or I at the end of the syllable. And here we have that sound again, the broad sound of U. U-U-U, full. That's right. And there it is again, a broad vowel sound before an L. Let's read it. B-E-U-T-I-F-U-L. Beautiful. Isn't it so much better to understand the logic of English and why it's spelled this way rather than trying to remember B-E-A-U? Instead, you can be able to understand B-U-T-ful. Excellent. The next word is quiet. It is quiet in the house. Quiet. Go ahead and say quiet. How many syllables in quiet? 2. We will say to spell quiet. What will we say to spell? Quiet. Let's sound it out. The first syllable is qui, qu-I. The second syllable is et. Go ahead and write quiet. Great. And now help me to write it. The first syllable is qui, qu-I. The second syllable is et. And how will we mark it? We'll underline the qu. What sound of I-E-Y did we hear? We heard the long sound I. Why? I and Y may say I or I at the end of the syllable. There it is at the end. Quiet, quiet. The next word is smell. Do you smell that? Smell. Go ahead and say smell. Let's sound it out. S-m-e-l-l. Go ahead and write smell. And help me to write it. S-m-e-l-l. Let's read it. S-m-e-l-l. Smell. Notice we often double F, L, or S after a single short or broad vowel. And there it is. Smell. The next word is letter. He wrote me a letter. Go ahead and say letter. How many syllables? 2. We will say to spell let-ter. What will we say to spell? Let-ter. Let's sound it out. The first syllable is let. L-e-t. The second syllable is ter. T-er. Use the er of her. Go ahead and write let-ter. And help me to write it. The first syllable is let. L-e-t. The second syllable is ter. T-er. And how do we mark it? We'll underline the er. Let's read it. L-e-t-er. Letter. What do we sometimes say? We don't always say a clear t there. Letter. That's right. Sometimes it sounds like leader. Remember, t and d are a voiced and unvoiced pair. And because this e is voiced and this is voiced, many times, rather than enunciating letter, people will say letter. But now you know where the spelling comes from and how it gets distorted sometimes in speech. The next word is hatch. The egg is about to hatch. Go ahead and say hatch. Let's sound it out. Hatch. Did you see that? That's right. It's 3-letter ch. Go ahead and write hatch. And help me to write it. Hatch. And how do we mark it? We'll underline the ch. Let's read it. Hatch, hatch. Notice we've used the 3-letter ch after a single short vowel, and it can also be used after a broad vowel. The last word is few. There are a few left. Few. Go ahead and say few. Let's sound it out. You. Use an oo-you. Good. Now help me to write it. You. And how will we mark it? We'll underline the U. What sound of oo-you do we hear? The second? Let's read it. You. Few. Great work today.
Combining the science of reading with the joy of learning. Learn more at essentials.logicoфenglish.com.